These are the instructions for your final assignment for Lord of the Flies. So you've got to read chapters 11 and 12. This is the last bit. This is the final hurdle, the final 2 chapters, and your last assignment. So you've almost finished. As per the school's policy, we need to start the change project soon. We'll start second half of next week. However, it would be a shame not to finish Lord of the Flies. So the beginning half of next week, up until around the 4th of May, we'll continue doing Lord of the Flies, and then after that we'll start with the project. So I don't want to give you like lots of chapter analysis work. Instead, you will just do chapter summaries, the kind of stuff you do in elementary school, primary school, middle school, but there's going to be a little bit of a twist because you are in high school. So any elementary school student can summarize what happens in a chapter. But we want to improve our writing skills. So what we're going to do is we're going to embed quotes into the summary. As you can see by my blue and red, you know what that's going to look like. We're going to use our colour schemes. So you're going to write at least 1 paragraph per chapter, so that's 2 in total, just summarising what happens in each chapter. And you're going to embed at least 3 quotes from the chapter into your summaries. So the objectives of the assignment is you'll be able to paraphrase the plot details of chapters 11 and 12 of Lord of the Flies, and you'll be able to apply your knowledge of how to embed evidence in writing. So this weekend, and it's really important you do this weekend, read chapters 11 and 12. I'm not making the audiobooks this time. I do know a lot of students don't even use them. They just look at the 3-minute videos, or they ask their friends what happens or whatever. And those who do use them, I think you'll be okay. There's audiobooks on YouTube. I'll attach them with this as well. But you do need to read like actual high school students. If you were in a high school anywhere else with any other teacher, you'd be having to read in any case. So make sure you read the chapters over the weekend. You do not want it to get to like Monday, Tuesday and go, oh, I need to do that assignment, and then not having even read the chapter. You need to do this over the weekend. Like I say, this one's a long one. Chapter 12 is really long, 40 minutes. But chapter 11 is quite short. You can just listen to the audiobooks at night or something like that. Then you're going to write a summary of what happens in each chapter. This should take no more than an hour. I reckon it can be done a lot quicker than that. I reckon it could be done in half an hour, to be honest. Embed at least 3 quotes from the book into your summaries. At least 3 per chapter. So 2 paragraphs, 1 per chapter. 3 quotes at least in each. Colour code, please, using our blue and red like you normally would for evidence, and I'm going to show you how I personally did it. So this is my example for chapter 9. I'm not going to read it out to you. If you want to pause the screen and have a look at it, you can. Again, I'll share these slides as well so you can look in your own time. But that's the chapter I did for chapter 9, summarising what happens. And as you can see by my colours, I've got my words in blue and the author's words in red with proper citations, MLA citations. So how would I do it? Well, step 1, the first thing I would do after having read the chapter would be to just summarise the plot in bullet points, like you'd normally do in every chapter anyway. So if you just summarise it in bullet points, nice and detailed bullet points, this will make the work a lot easier down the way. So those are my summaries. The next thing I would do is I would just get some quotes to match my bullet points that I could possibly put in there. So again, like Simon sees the dead parachute, so I've got Simon saw a hump thing. I could use that possibly. Let's have another little look. So Jack gets up, he's got a painted face, he's wearing a crown. I've got Jack behind his from behind his paint, or he rose from the log that was his throne. We've got Roger mimed the terror of the pig, matches Roger pretended to be the pig in the middle of the circle. So get some quotes that kind of match it. This will make it easier to replace your words with the author's words. When you've got a nice table like this done, you can move on. Now remember, I said you only had to do a minimum of 3 quotes, so you don't even necessarily have to fill this out, but it might help you pick the best ones, or the ones you really like. After that, start writing your paragraph. So I'll go over it really briefly. So chapter 9 begins with Simon As he woke and saw dimly the Lord of the Flies on his stick like a black bull, he slowly gets up after having fainted in chapter 8 and approaches the beast at the top of the mountain. As he got closer, he saw a hump thing suddenly sit up on the top and look down at him, which he came to realise was simply a dead parachutist. Deciding to release the parachute, which was what caused the beast to appear as though moving, he took the lines in his hands. He freed them from the rocks and the figure from the wind's indignity. Meanwhile, on the beach, older boys have gone to Jack's party, leaving Raph and Piggy behind. Raph and Piggy eventually join in order to get some food at the edge of the grassy platform. Jack spots them, and from behind his mask, he rose from a log which was his throne to offer them food and ask who will join his tribe. That's enough. I'm not going to read the whole thing. One thing I'd really like to point out here is do not forget that your embedded quotes should read naturally in your sentences. It shouldn't look like there are two separate things. It should look like one sentence. So let's have a little look here. The hunters start reenacting their hunt with Roger in the middle as he mimed the terror of the pig. Now that is actually the author's words, mime the terror of the pig, and my words, but that reads as one sentence, with Roger in the middle as he mimed the terror of the pig. Let's have another look at another one. The storm continuously grows, and between the flashes of lightning, the air was dark and terrible. The storm continuously grows, and between the flashes of lightning, the air was dark and terrible. That reads as one sentence. Remember, you're not having two separate sentences. You can't just have a whole complete sentence in red. There has to be blue either before it, after it, or blue before and after. It should read as one thing. Okay? If you change the colours and remove the quotation marks, as I've done here, it should still all make sense. If it doesn't make sense, you haven't embedded it properly. So you could even try that. Delete the quotation marks, make it all black, and read it. Does it sound right to you? If it doesn't sound right, you've got a problem there. It should all sound right. Now remember, you're not allowed to change the author's words unless you can keep its meaning intact. If you can do this by changing pronouns, for instance, so I to he, from behind his mask, he rose from a log, stuff like that, you can put the changes in the square parentheses here. Okay, I've done it here. Simon's dead. The chapter ends with Simon's dead body as it is moved out toward the open sea. That bit wasn't there, but I needed it to make the sentence flow and be correct. So I've put the square parentheses so the readers know they're not the author's words. I've added them, but the meaning cannot change. You cannot change things like adjectives or verbs or adverbs or stuff like that. You can change, articles and pronouns to make it fit. That's all. So in sum, what you're doing, read the chapters before before Sunday, before the end of the weekend. Write a summary for both chapter 11 and 12, 2 in total. Embed quotes from the story in it, basically, and submit on Monday, the 4th of May. Okay, good luck.